3 in the morning, she stood in the marble entryway of the mansion she'd called home for 5 years, one hand resting on her 6-month pregnant belly, the other clutching a single leather bag. Behind her, on the pristine white kitchen counter, sat her diamond wedding ring, 3 carats that had once meant forever. Now it meant nothing. 20 feet away in Derek's home office, she'd left the folder. The one containing bank statements showing wire transfers to luxury hotels. Credit card receipts for jewelry she'd never received. Photos from a private investigator showing Derek and his assistant Claire laughing in restaurants, holding hands in parking garages, kissing in his penthouse office after hours. A year's worth of lies, documented in black and white. But that wasn't what made her leave. She'd suspected the affair for months. What made her walk out at 3 in the morning while Derek was on another business trip with Claire was the conversation she'd overheard on his accidentally open laptop 2 days ago. A video call where Derek told Claire he was handling the Naomi situation, and that once the babies were born, he'd file for divorce and marry her instead. Claire had laughed and asked if Naomi even knew she was just a placeholder. Derek had said, "She's too stupid to figure anything out. She'll be shocked when I leave her with 2 kids and nothing." Nothing. That word had echoed in Naomi's mind as she'd spent the next 48 hours executing her plan. She'd withdrawn every penny from their joint accounts. Money she'd helped build through years of managing his household, entertaining his clients, and offering business advice he'd taken credit for. She'd gathered every document with her name on it. She'd contacted the best divorce attorney in the state. She'd packed only what mattered: her laptop, her mother's jewelry, her college degrees, and clothes that actually fit her changing body. Naomi walked out of the mansion at 3:17 a.m. on a Tuesday in October. She didn't look back. Her Uber driver helped her load the bag into the trunk and asked if she was okay. She touched her belly, felt the twins moving, and smiled for the first time in months. "I will be," she said. By dawn, she was on a plane to Seattle. By noon, she checked into a modest extended-stay hotel under her maiden name, Naomi Richardson. By evening, she'd met with a lawyer who'd smiled at the documents she presented and said, "Mrs. Bennett, you've done excellent work. This will be the easiest divorce I've ever filed." Derek wouldn't discover she was gone until Wednesday evening when he returned from his romantic getaway with Claire. He wouldn't know where she went. Her phone was disconnected, tossed in a dumpster at the airport. Her social media deleted. Her friends, the real ones, not the society wives who only cared about status, had been sworn to secrecy weeks ago. Naomi Richardson sat in her hotel room that first night, eating takeout Thai food and working on her laptop. Before Derek, she'd been a brilliant business consultant with an MBA from Northwestern. During their marriage, she'd let her career slide, believing Derek when he said he wanted a wife who focused on family. Now she realized that was just another way to control her, to make her dependent. She opened her email and began reaching out to old colleagues. Within hours, she had 3 consulting contracts lined up. Small projects, but enough to start building her independence. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she drafted proposals, analyzed market data, and remembered who she used to be. The babies kicked, and she paused to rest her hand on her stomach. "It's just us now," she whispered, "and we're going to be just fine." Her phone, a new number, buzzed. A text from her lawyer: "Papers will be served Thursday morning at his office. Are you ready for this?" Naomi typed back, "I've been ready for a year. Let's do this." She didn't feel sad. She didn't feel angry. She felt free. Derek had spent their entire marriage making her feel small, stupid, and worthless. He'd criticized her weight, her clothes, her ideas. He'd rolled his eyes when she spoke at dinner parties and changed the subject when she offered business opinions. He'd made her believe she needed him to survive. He was about to learn the truth. Naomi didn't need Derek. She never had. She'd built his home into a showplace that impressed investors. She'd planned events that secured multi-million-dollar deals. She'd offered strategies that had doubled his company's revenue. And he'd taken credit for all of it while treating her like an accessory. No more. Naomi pulled out a notebook and began planning. Not revenge, she didn't need to hurt Derek. She just needed to become so successful that he'd realize what he'd lost. The best revenge wasn't destruction. It was building a life so amazing that his would look pathetic in comparison. She wrote her goals: establish a consulting firm, raise healthy daughters, build financial independence, find genuine happiness. None of those goals included Derek Bennett. At midnight, she finally allowed herself to cry. Not for Derek or their marriage, but for the version of herself she'd lost while trying to be what he wanted. She cried for the years wasted, the potential ignored, the dreams postponed. Then she dried her eyes, opened her laptop, and got back to work. The twins would be here in 3 months. She had a life to build and no time to waste on a man who'd never deserved her anyway. Derek Bennett had no idea that his perfect, controlled life was about to explode. And his mistress Claire, who thought she'd won by stealing another woman's husband, had no idea that the real prize was never Derek at all. It was the woman who just walked away from him forever. Derek Bennett arrived home Wednesday evening with an expensive bottle of champagne and a satisfied smile. The business conference in Miami had actually been 3 days at a beachfront resort with Claire, and he'd never felt more alive. At 42, he thought he deserved this. Naomi had let herself go, gotten boring, and frankly, she wasn't the woman he'd married anymore. Claire was exciting, ambitious, and appreciated him. He parked his Tesla in the 6-car garage and grabbed his luggage. The house was dark. Strange. Naomi usually had dinner ready when he returned from trips, no matter how late. "Naomi?" he called out, pushing through the front door. Silence. He dropped his bags and walked through the first floor. No cooking smells. No sound of the television. The kitchen was spotless and empty. That's when he saw it. The wedding ring on the counter, catching the moonlight through the window. Just the ring, nothing else. No note. No explanation. Derek felt a flutter of unease. He pulled out his phone and called Naomi. The number was disconnected. He tried again. Same message. He checked her location sharing, disabled. He opened the Find My Phone app. Her device was offline. "What the hell?" he muttered, climbing the stairs 2 at a time. Their bedroom looked normal at first glance, but when he opened her closet, half of it was empty. Her everyday clothes were gone. Her laptop was missing from her desk. Her jewelry box sat open, her mother's pearls and grandmother's rings nowhere to be found. Derek's heart started racing. He went through the house room by room. No signs of struggle. No broken windows. Nothing to suggest anything violent had happened. She just left. He called her best friend, Patricia. No answer. He tried her sister, Denise. Straight to voicemail. He contacted 3 more friends. Nobody would talk to him. By midnight, Derek was pacing his office trying to understand. Naomi had been fine when he left. Quiet, maybe, but that was normal for her lately. Pregnancy had made her tired and emotional. She'd probably just gone to stay with family for a few days. She'd be back. Thursday morning, Derek woke up on the couch, disoriented. He'd fallen asleep trying to figure out where Naomi had gone. His phone buzzed with a calendar reminder. 9 a.m. meeting with the board about the Johnson contract. He showered, dressed, and drove to Bennett Technologies' downtown headquarters. His assistant, not Claire, she'd taken a personal day, handed him a large envelope as he stepped off the elevator. "This was just delivered by a courier, Mr. Bennett." They said it was urgent. Derek opened it in his office. Divorce papers. 50 pages detailing the dissolution of his marriage to Naomi Richardson Bennett. His hands shook as he read through the filing. She was requesting full custody of the unborn twins, half of all marital assets, alimony, and she'd listed the grounds as adultery and emotional abuse. Attached was a flash drive. Derek plugged it into his computer with shaking hands. Photos. Dozens of them. Derek and Claire at restaurants, entering hotels, kissing in his office. Bank statements showing money he'd spent on Claire, jewelry, trips, expensive dinners. Text messages he thought he'd deleted. Naomi had known. For how long? The documents were thorough, professional, devastating. This wasn't a woman acting on emotion. This was planned, calculated, strategic. His office phone rang. His business partner, Robert, sounded furious. "Derek, what the hell is going on? I just got a call from our bank. Someone drained the secondary operating account. $250,000 gone." Derek's blood went cold. "When?" "Monday." Was Naomi. "She's listed as an authorized signer. Did you know about this?" No. She left me." "She what?" Derek explained, his voice hollow. Robert was silent for a long moment. "Derek, we have the Johnson meeting in 20 minutes. Can you focus?" Yes, I'll handle it." But he couldn't focus. The Johnson deal fell apart because Derek couldn't answer basic questions about the proposal. Robert had to step in, and even then, Johnson decided to consider other options. A $20 million contract, gone. Claire showed up at Derek's office that afternoon, furious. "Why are there photographers outside your house? Why is your wife's lawyer calling my apartment? Naomi's gone. She filed for divorce." Claire's face lit up. "Oh my God, Derek, this is perfect. We can finally be together openly." "We can?" She took everything, Claire. She has evidence. Photos of us. She's going to destroy me in court. So, you're a billionaire. You can afford it. And now we can be together without hiding. Claire moved behind his desk, wrapping her arms around his shoulders. This is what we wanted, baby. Derek shrugged her off. I need to find her. I need to fix this. Fix what? Your boring marriage? Derek, you told me you didn't love her anymore. You said she was holding you back. That's not the point. She doesn't get to just leave. She doesn't get to take my money and disappear with my children. Claire's expression hardened. Your children? I thought you said the pregnancy was a mistake. That you didn't even want kids. Derek wasn't listening. He was already on the phone with a private investigator. I need you to find my wife, Naomi Richardson Bennett. She disappeared 3 days ago. I'll pay whatever it costs. Over the next week, Derek hired 3 different investigators. None could find any trace of Naomi. She'd vanished completely. No credit card usage, no social media presence, no phone records. It was like she'd ceased to exist. Meanwhile, Claire moved into the mansion, assuming her place as Derek's new partner. But Derek barely noticed her. He spent every night in his office, obsessively searching for clues about where Naomi might have gone. He checked her old college contacts, her former employers, distant relatives. Nothing. His business partners called an emergency meeting. Derek had missed 4 major client meetings. His distraction was costing the company millions. Robert confronted him directly. Derek, you need to get your head straight. This obsession with finding your ex-wife is destroying everything we've built. She's not my ex-wife yet. And she's carrying my children. Children you told me you didn't want, Robert shot back. Look, I get that your ego is bruised. But you need to let this go and focus on business before we lose everything. Derek couldn't let it go. Not because he loved Naomi, he'd convinced himself he didn't. But because she'd outsmarted him. She'd planned her escape perfectly, taken his money, and disappeared without a trace. Naomi, who he'd always thought was simple and naive, had made him look like a fool. Claire began to notice Derek's obsession. You talk about her more now than when you were married, she said one night, her voice sharp. I'm right here, Derek. Your actual girlfriend. The woman you said you loved. I need to find her, was all he said. By the end of month 1, Derek's billion-dollar empire was showing cracks. A major investor pulled out, spooked by the negative publicity from the divorce. His stock prices dropped 3%. Claire was spending money like water, buying designer clothes and jewelry, redecorating the mansion. And Derek couldn't stop thinking about where Naomi had gone. He never once asked himself if she was okay, if the pregnancy was healthy, if she needed anything. He only cared that she'd beaten him at his own game. And Derek Bennett wasn't used to losing. 3 months after disappearing, Naomi Richardson sat in a sunlit cafe in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, 7 months pregnant with twins who seemed determined to use her ribs as punching bags. Her laptop was open, a video call connecting her with a potential client in Boston. Your proposal is exactly what we need, Ms. Richardson, the CEO said, nodding enthusiastically. Your analysis of our supply chain inefficiencies is the most thorough I've seen. When can you start? I can have the preliminary report to you by next Friday, Naomi said confidently. Full implementation strategy within 3 weeks. Perfect. I'll have our legal team send over the contract today. This is a 6-month project worth $500,000. I hope that works for your timeline. After the call ended, Naomi closed her laptop and allowed herself a small smile. That was her 3rd major contract in 2 months. She was building something real, something that was entirely hers. Seattle had been the right choice. Nobody here knew her as Derek Bennett's wife. She was just Naomi Richardson, business consultant, single mother-to-be, regular person living a regular life. She'd rented a modest 2-bedroom apartment in a safe neighborhood with good schools nearby. Her furniture was second-hand but comfortable. Her car was a reliable Honda instead of the luxury vehicles Derek insisted on. And she'd never been happier. Naomi. Her neighbor, James Crawford, waved from across the cafe. He was a widowed architect in his early 40s, kind eyes and an easy smile. They'd met when he helped her carry groceries upstairs during her 2nd week in Seattle. How'd the meeting go? Landed it, she said, grinning. $500,000 for 6 months of work. James sat down across from her, genuinely impressed. That's incredible. You're building an empire. Just building a life, she corrected. But yeah, it feels good. They'd become friends over the past months. James had lost his wife to cancer 3 years ago and understood what it meant to start over. He never asked intrusive questions about the twins' father. He just showed up when Naomi needed help assembling a crib, offered to drive her to prenatal appointments, and brought her soup when she had a cold. "Speaking of building," James said, pulling out his tablet, "I finished the designs for your nursery idea. Want to see?" Naomi leaned forward, touched. She'd mentioned offhand that she wished the second bedroom had better natural light for the twins. James had apparently spent the week designing a solution: skylights, better window placement, built-in storage that maximized space. "James, this is beautiful. But I'm renting. I can't renovate. I already talked to your landlord. She's willing to do the upgrades if I supervise the construction. She says it'll increase the property value. And I'd do the labor for free. Consider it a baby shower gift." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. Pregnancy hormones made her cry at everything, but this was different. This was real kindness from someone who expected nothing in return. Derek had never done anything without calculating what he'd get back. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't know how much this means. Hey, we're friends. Friends help each other." That afternoon, Naomi had a prenatal checkup. The doctor confirmed the twins were healthy and growing perfectly. "You're doing great, Naomi. Whatever you're doing, the low stress, good nutrition, positive mindset, keep it up. These babies are thriving." Low stress. That was the key. Naomi had spent 5 years walking on eggshells around Derek, monitoring his moods, trying to anticipate his needs. Now she woke up each day and did what felt right for her and her daughters. She worked when she had energy. She rested when she was tired. She ate food she enjoyed instead of the restrictive diet Derek preferred. She watched movies she liked, read books she chose, made decisions without asking permission. Her lawyer called as she walked home from the appointment. "Naomi, I have news. Derek has hired 3 private investigators to find you." "Can they?" "Not if you're careful. Don't use credit cards attached to your old name. Don't contact anyone from your old life except your sister and Patricia. Stay off social media. You're doing everything right." "What about the divorce?" "Derek's lawyer is trying to delay, claiming they can't proceed without your physical address. But we're pushing through. The court has accepted service through me as your representative. We should have a hearing date within 2 months. And the restraining order? Active and enforceable. If Derek finds you and approaches, call the police immediately. The order protects you and the unborn children." After hanging up, Naomi felt a chill. Derek was looking for her. Not because he loved her or wanted to fix things, but because he hated losing control. She'd been his perfect, obedient wife, and she'd broken the script. His ego couldn't handle it. But she wasn't afraid. She was prepared. That evening, James came by with Chinese takeout and helped Naomi sort through boxes of baby clothes donated by a local church. They sat on her living room floor, folding tiny onesies and laughing at how impossibly small they were. "2 girls," James said softly. "Have you picked names yet?" "Hope and Grace," Naomi said. "Because that's what they represent. Hope for the future and grace for second chances. Beautiful names for beautiful girls. They're going to have an amazing mother." Naomi touched her belly, feeling the twins moving. "I'm going to make sure they know their worth. That they never let anyone make them feel small. That they're strong and capable and enough, exactly as they are." "Sounds like someone learned those lessons herself," James observed. "The hard way. But I learned them." Later, after James left, Naomi stood at her apartment window looking out at the Seattle skyline. Somewhere out there, Derek was probably still searching for her, getting more frustrated by the day. Claire was probably living in the mansion, thinking she'd won some grand prize. Neither of them understood that Naomi hadn't lost anything. She'd gained everything that mattered: her self-respect, her freedom, her future. Derek was the one who'd lost. He just didn't know it yet. Her phone buzzed with an email. Another consulting contract offer, this time from a major tech firm. They'd heard about her work from her Boston client. Word was spreading that Naomi Richardson was someone worth hiring. She replied with her rates, higher than before because she could, and included her availability. Within an hour, they'd agreed to her terms. Another $250,000 in contracts secured. Naomi pulled out her journal and updated her financial spreadsheet. Between her consulting work, the settlement money she'd withdrawn from the joint accounts, and careful budgeting, she was building real security. By the time the twins were born, she'd have enough in savings to take 3 months off work. After that, she could hire help and continue building her business. She'd done all of this in 3 months. Alone, pregnant, starting from zero in a new city. If she could do this, she could do anything. Derek had spent their entire marriage telling her she was nothing without him. She was proving every day that the opposite was true. He was nothing but a cheater and a liar. She was a brilliant businesswoman, a survivor, and about to be a mother to two precious girls. The best revenge wasn't hurting Derek. It was succeeding without him. And Naomi was succeeding beyond anything she'd imagined. Derek Bennett stared at his computer screen, unable to focus on the quarterly report in front of him. The numbers blurred together as his mind circled back to the same question it had asked every day for 3 months. Where was Naomi? His phone buzzed. Another bill from the private investigators. $12,000 this week alone, and they had nothing to show for it. Naomi had vanished like smoke, leaving no digital footprint, no paper trail, nothing. It was impossible. Yet she'd done it. Derek, are you listening? Robert's sharp voice cut through his thoughts. They were in a board meeting with 6 other partners, discussing the catastrophic Johnson deal that had fallen through. Yes, I'm listening. Then what did I just say? Derek had no idea. You were discussing the timeline. Robert's jaw clenched. I was discussing how we lost $2 million last quarter because you've been too distracted to do your job. This obsession with your ex-wife needs to stop. She's not my ex-wife yet. And she stole from the company. She withdrew money from a joint account that had her name on it. That's not theft, that's legal. What's illegal is you using company resources to hunt her down. Robert stood up, addressing the other board members. I move that we require Derek to take a temporary leave of absence until he can focus on business. The vote was swift. 6-1. Derek was suspended from active management for 60 days. He drove home in a rage, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Everything was falling apart, and it was all Naomi's fault. If she hadn't left, if she hadn't disappeared, if she hadn't been so selfish, everything would be fine. Claire was waiting at the mansion, surrounded by shopping bags. Look what I got. This dress was $10,000, but it's perfect for the charity gala next week. And these shoes. We're not going to the gala. What? Derek, this is the biggest social event of the season. Everyone will be there. I've been suspended from the company. We're not celebrating anything. Claire's face went pale. Suspended? For how long? 60 days. Maybe permanently if they decide to force me out. But you're a billionaire. They can't just. They can, and they did. Derek poured himself a drink, his third before noon. This is all Naomi's fault. If she hadn't left. Oh my God, you're still talking about her. Claire exploded. I'm here, Derek. I left my job for you. I moved into your house. I've been planning our future together. And all you do is obsess over your boring ex-wife who ran away. She didn't just run away. She outsmarted me. She planned this for weeks, maybe months, and I never saw it coming. So what? Let her go. We can build a new life together. We can. Derek's phone rang. His lawyer. He answered, ignoring Claire's protests. Derek, we have a problem, the lawyer said. I've been going through the financial records for the divorce proceedings, and there are some irregularities I need to discuss with you. What kind of irregularities? Large transfers to offshore accounts. Payments to various LLCs that don't appear in the company books. Some of these transactions have your signature, but the money didn't go where the documentation says it did. Derek's stomach dropped. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you need to come to my office. Now. 2 hours later, Derek sat in his lawyer's conference room, looking at evidence of embezzlement. Someone had been siphoning money from Bennett Technologies for over a year. Small amounts that wouldn't trigger immediate red flags, but enough to total nearly $3 million. This isn't me, Derek said, his voice shaking. I didn't do this. The signatures are yours. The approvals came from your office. Then someone forged them. Someone with access to my office, my files, Derek stopped. Claire. His assistant Claire, who handled his paperwork, filed his documents, had access to everything. He called her immediately. Claire, I need you to come to my lawyer's office right now. I'm busy, baby. I'm at the spa. This isn't a request. Get here now or I'm calling the police. An hour later, Claire sat across from Derek and the lawyer, her confidence evaporating as they showed her the evidence. Bank accounts in her name. Transfer sheet authorized using Derek's forged signature. Emails proving she'd been working with a competitor, feeding them Bennett Technologies' proprietary information in exchange for payment. You've been stealing from me? Derek's voice was dangerously quiet. It's not stealing. You're rich. You'd never miss a few million. And you promised me we'd be together, but you spent all your time thinking about Naomi. I deserved compensation for what I put up with. You destroyed my company. You committed fraud. You betrayed me. Claire laughed bitterly. I betrayed you? That's rich. You betrayed your wife for a year, Derek. I was just following your example. The lawyer cleared his throat. Mr. Bennett, you have two options. We can prosecute Ms. Claire Donovan criminally, which will require police involvement and likely make the news. Or we can require her to sign an agreement returning the money, admitting to the fraud, and accepting a lifetime ban from working in any tech industry position. Her choice. Claire's face crumbled. I can't pay back $3 million. I spent most of it. Then I hope you look good in orange, Derek said coldly, because you're going to prison. The next week was a nightmare. Claire was arrested and charged with embezzlement, fraud, and corporate espionage. The story hit every major news outlet. Tech billionaire's mistress steals millions while wife vanishes. The publicity was devastating. Bennett Technologies stock dropped 15% in 2 days. 3 major clients canceled contracts. Derek's business partners called another emergency meeting. We want you out, Robert said flatly. You brought your mistress into the company as your assistant. You gave her access to everything. You were so obsessed with your affair and then with finding your wife that you didn't notice millions of dollars being stolen. You're a liability, Derek. We're buying you out. You can't do that. Yes, we can. Check the partnership agreement. Section 12, subsection D. Gross negligence resulting in substantial financial loss. We have the votes. You're out. Derek tried to fight it, but the math was simple. He'd been so distracted by Naomi's disappearance that he'd lost control of his own company. The forced buyout left him with a fraction of his former wealth. Still millions, but not the billions he'd once had. He returned to the mansion, empty now that Claire was in jail awaiting trial. The house felt enormous and cold. He poured another drink and sat in his office, the same office where Naomi had found evidence of his affair. For the first time, Derek allowed himself to think about what he'd lost. Not the money or the company, but Naomi. The woman who'd managed his home flawlessly, who'd entertained his clients with grace, who'd offered business insights he'd stolen credit for. The woman who'd loved him despite his flaws, who'd been loyal even when he didn't deserve it. He'd thrown it all away for Claire, who turned out to be a criminal using him for money. He'd treated Naomi like she was worthless, when she was the only real thing in his life. Derek grabbed his phone and called the private investigators. Any leads on Naomi Richardson Bennett? Sir, we've been searching for 3 months. She's gone. Either she's using a different identity, or she's gotten help from someone who knows how to disappear. We're not going to find her unless she wants to be found. Keep looking. I'll pay whatever it costs. But even as he said it, Derek knew the truth. Naomi was gone. She'd planned her escape perfectly and executed it flawlessly. The woman he'd thought was simple and naive had outsmarted everyone. Him, his lawyers, 3 private investigators, and the entire system designed to track people down. And wherever she was probably happy. Probably better off. Probably thriving without him. That realization hurt worse than losing his company or watching Claire get arrested. Naomi had never needed him. He just convinced himself she did because it made him feel powerful. Now he had nothing. No wife, no company, no mistress, no purpose. Just an empty mansion and regrets that multiplied every day. The pain started at 2 in the morning on a Tuesday in January. Naomi woke with a gasp, her hand immediately going to her belly. The twins were coming early, 3 weeks before her due date. She grabbed her phone and called James, her voice surprisingly steady. It's time. He was at her door in 10 minutes, calm and prepared. They'd practiced this scenario a dozen times. The route to the hospital, the bag already packed, the birth plan clearly outlined. James had insisted on being her birth partner when she mentioned having no one else, and Naomi had gratefully accepted. 12 hours later, Hope Elizabeth Richardson was born, screaming indignantly at the bright hospital lights. Grace Margaret Richardson followed 8 minutes later, quieter but with a grip that made the nurses laugh. They're perfect, James whispered, standing beside Naomi's bed as she held both babies. You did amazing. Naomi looked down at her daughters, tears streaming down her face. They were tiny, barely 5 pounds each, but healthy. Hope had Naomi's nose and a full head of dark curls. Grace had Derek's chin but Naomi's eyes. They were both hers, completely and entirely hers, and she'd never felt more certain about anything in her life. We're going to have such a beautiful life together. Over the next 3 days in the hospital, Naomi was overwhelmed by the support of her new Seattle community. James visited every day, bringing meals and helping with diaper changes. Her neighbor, Mrs. Chin, brought homemade soup and offered to help with overnight feedings once Naomi went home. Patricia flew in from California, crying happy tears when she met her nieces. Derek has no idea what he's missing, Patricia said, holding Grace. These girls are miracles. He doesn't get to know them, Naomi said firmly. He made his choice. These are my daughters. Her lawyer called with an update. Derek's been suspended from his company. Apparently, his mistress was embezzling millions. The whole thing is a mess. He's still trying to find you, but he's running out of resources. Good, Naomi said, feeling no satisfaction, just relief. The further he stays away, the better. When Naomi brought Hope and Grace home, her small apartment had been transformed. James had finished the nursery renovation. 2 beautiful cribs, soft lighting, storage for all their baby things. Mrs. Chin had stocked her refrigerator with prepared meals. A group of women from her prenatal class had left a basket of newborn essentials at her door. These people barely knew her, yet they'd shown up in ways Derek never had during 5 years of marriage. This was what real community felt like. People helping because they cared, not because they wanted something in return. The first weeks with twins were exhausting. Naomi existed in a fog of feedings, diaper changes, and trying to sleep whenever the babies did. James checked on her daily, often staying to hold one baby while she fed the other. He never overstepped, never made demands, just quietly supported her. "Why are you doing this?" Naomi asked him one night as they sat in her living room, each holding a sleeping baby. "You don't owe me anything." James looked down at Grace, sleeping peacefully in his arms. "My wife and I always wanted children. We never got the chance. Maybe this is the universe's way of giving me what I needed, not my own kids, but the chance to help yours. Plus, I like you, Naomi. You're strong and smart and kind. Being around you and the girls makes me happy." Something warm bloomed in Naomi's chest. Not love, not yet, but the possibility of it. James was everything Derek wasn't: patient, genuine, emotionally available. He asked about her day and actually listened. He noticed when she was tired and offered help. He treated her like an equal partner in caring for the twins, even though they weren't his. At 6 weeks postpartum, Naomi's lawyer called with news. The divorce hearing is scheduled. Derek's lawyers are asking for visitation rights with the twins. "How do you want to proceed?" "He abandoned us," Naomi said coldly. "He spent a year having an affair, planned to leave me once the babies were born, and has shown zero interest in their well-being. He doesn't get to play father now. I'll file the appropriate motions. We have all the evidence we need." His own words from that video call you recorded will work against him. After the call, Naomi felt the twins and thought about Derek meeting them. The idea made her physically ill. He'd called her stupid, treated her like she was worthless, and planned to discard her and the babies. He didn't deserve to know Hope and Grace. But she also knew the legal system didn't always see things clearly. Derek had resources, even diminished ones. He could fight for custody or visitation. The thought terrified her. James found her crying in the nursery that night. "Hey, what's wrong? What if he gets them? What if a judge says he deserves visitation? I can't let him near them, James. I can't let him teach them that it's okay to treat people the way he treated me." "Then we fight," James said firmly. "We document everything. We show the court that you're an amazing mother providing a stable, loving home. We show them what he is, a man who abandoned his pregnant wife for his mistress. Judges aren't stupid, Naomi. They can see the truth." "We?" Naomi asked softly. James met her eyes. "Yeah, we, if you'll let me. I know I'm just your neighbor, just your friend, but I care about you and the girls. I want to help however I can." Naomi took his hand. "You're not just anything. You've been more present in 3 months than Derek was in 5 years. Thank you for being here." Over the next month, Naomi began rebuilding her consulting business from home. She scheduled calls during nap times, worked on proposals while the babies slept, and slowly rebuilt her client base. It was hard juggling motherhood and work, but she was determined. Her Boston client referred her to 2 more companies. Word was spreading that Naomi Richardson delivered exceptional results. By the time the twins were 3 months old, Naomi had secured enough contracts to hire a part-time nanny for daytime hours. The nanny, a warm woman named Ruth who'd raised 4 children of her own, was perfect. She handled the girls with expert care while Naomi worked, and Naomi spent every evening and night being their mother. The balance felt right. James continued to be a steady presence in their lives. He came for dinner twice a week, helped with household repairs, and was always available when Naomi needed an extra pair of hands. The girls lit up when they saw him, and Naomi found herself looking forward to his visits more and more. One evening, after putting the twins down, Naomi and James sat on her small balcony watching the Seattle skyline. "I never thought I'd be here," Naomi said quietly. "Single mother, running my own business, actually happy." "You deserve to be happy," James said. "You deserve everything good." "So do you," Naomi replied, meeting his eyes. "You've been alone for 3 years. Don't you want to find someone?" James smiled. "I think maybe I already did. But I'm willing to wait until she's ready. No rush. Good things are worth waiting for." Naomi felt tears prick her eyes. "James?" "It's okay," he said gently. "I'm not going anywhere. Whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. And if not, I'm still here as your friend. No pressure." For the first time since Derek, Naomi allowed herself to imagine a future with a partner. Not someone who controlled her or diminished her, but someone who supported her and lifted her up. Someone who loved her daughters as if they were his own. Someone like James. She reached for his hand. "Maybe we could go to dinner sometime. Just the two of us. Mrs. Chun said she'd babysit whenever I needed." James's smile could have lit up the entire city. "I'd love that." As Naomi got ready for bed that night, she looked at her sleeping daughters and felt overwhelming gratitude. Derek had tried to break her. Instead, she'd broken free and built something better than anything she'd had before. A career she controlled, genuine friendships, a community that cared, and maybe, eventually, a love that was real. Hope and Grace deserved to grow up seeing their mother happy, strong, and loved. And Naomi was determined to give them exactly that. Derek Bennett sat in the half-empty mansion, staring at a letter from his former company. They'd officially completed the buyout. He was no longer part of Bennett Technologies, the empire he'd spent 15 years building. The company he'd named after himself didn't want him anymore. The settlement had left him with $30 million. Still wealthy by most standards, but a fraction of the billion-dollar fortune he'd once had. And it was disappearing fast. Legal fees, private investigators, the mansion's operating costs, and Claire's theft had drained his accounts faster than he'd thought possible. His phone rang. His lawyer calling with more bad news. "Derek, the divorce hearing is in 2 weeks. Naomi's team has filed for full custody of the twins, 0 visitation for you, and they're requesting 50% of your remaining assets plus ongoing support." "She can't do that. Those are my children too." "Did you know she recorded you? That video call where you told Claire you were planning to leave Naomi after the babies were born. Where you called her stupid. Where you said she was just a placeholder. The judge is going to hear all of that." Derek felt sick. That was private. That was evidence of intent to abandon your family. Combined with the affair, the financial neglect. You left her with barely any access to money while spending thousands on your mistress. And the fact that you've made 0 effort to contact Naomi about the pregnancy or birth, you don't have a strong case for custody. She disappeared. How was I supposed to contact her? You could have contacted her through her lawyer. You never once asked about the health of the pregnancy. You never sent money for medical care. You spent 4 months obsessing over finding her to punish her, not to help her. That's not going to look good in court. After hanging up, Derek poured another drink. He'd been drinking more lately, not enough to be a problem, he told himself, but enough to dull the constant anxiety and regret. His phone buzzed with a news alert. Claire's trial had ended. She'd been sentenced to 5 years in prison and ordered to pay restitution of $2.8 million. The article included photos of Derek and Claire together, rehashing the scandal that had destroyed his reputation. They destroyed his marriage for a criminal. His pregnant wife ran away and he deserved it. Karma is real. Derek closed the app, his hands shaking. He'd become a cautionary tale. The billionaire who lost everything because he couldn't keep it in his pants. The man whose mistress stole millions while he was too distracted to notice. The husband whose wife disappeared without a trace because he treated her so badly. 2 weeks later, Derek sat in family court, wearing his most expensive suit and trying to project confidence. Naomi's lawyer presented evidence systematically and devastatingly, bank statements showing Derek spent $50,000 on gifts for Claire while Naomi had to ask permission to buy groceries. Text messages where Derek mocked Naomi to Claire. The video recording where he called his pregnant wife stupid and planned to abandon her. Then the lawyer showed photos. Recent photos. Naomi holding 2 beautiful baby girls, her face radiant with joy. Naomi in what looked like a professional office, clearly working and thriving. Naomi laughing with friends at a park. Derek felt his chest tighten. She looked happy. Happier than he'd ever seen her during their marriage. She'd lost the weight from pregnancy, but more than that, she looked lighter somehow. Free. Mr. Bennett, the judge said, I've reviewed all the evidence. You conducted a year-long affair with your employee, spent marital funds on your mistress, verbally abused your wife, planned to abandon her and your unborn children, and made zero effort to support or contact her during the pregnancy or after birth. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Derek stood up. Your Honor, I made mistakes, but those are my daughters. I deserve a chance to be their father. Why? The judge asked bluntly. What do you offer these children that their mother can't provide on her own? Derek had no answer. What did he offer? Money? Naomi was making her own money now, successful in her own right. Stability? She'd built a stable life without him. Well, he'd never even seen his daughters. He didn't know them. The judge's ruling was swift. Full custody to Naomi. Zero visitation until the girls were old enough to choose for themselves. Age 12. Child support of $10,000 per month. 50% of Derek's remaining assets to be transferred to Naomi within 30 days. A restraining order preventing Derek from attempting to find or contact Naomi directly. Derek walked out of the courthouse feeling hollow. He'd lost everything. His company, his money, his reputation, and now any chance of knowing his children. All because he'd been selfish, arrogant, and cruel to the one person who'd actually loved him. Over the next month, Derek had to sell the mansion. The operating costs were too high for his reduced income, and he needed liquidity to pay the settlement. He moved into a luxury condo downtown, still nice, but a far cry from the sprawling estate. His former business partners stopped returning his calls. Social invitations dried up. The women he tried to date Googled him and disappeared. He was toxic, his reputation destroyed by his own actions. One night, drunk and alone, Derek did something he'd never done before. He searched for Naomi's new consulting business online. He found her website easily. Richardson Consulting Group, specializing in supply chain optimization and business strategy. Her photo showed a confident, professional woman in a sharp suit, smiling genuinely. The testimonials were glowing. Naomi Richardson transformed our entire operation. Her insights saved us millions. The most brilliant consultant we've ever worked with. Professional, innovative, and delivers exceptional results. Derek had always known Naomi was smart, but he'd never really acknowledged it, never given her credit. He'd been too busy taking credit for her ideas and making her feel small so he could feel big. He clicked through to her team page. She'd hired 5 employees. Her business was growing fast, already generating millions in annual revenue. In less than a year, she'd built something impressive entirely on her own. And she'd done it while pregnant, then while raising newborn twins as a single mother. She'd done what Derek couldn't, succeeded after losing everything. His phone rang. His mother, calling from Florida where she'd retired. Derek, I just heard about the divorce settlement. I hope you're satisfied with yourself. Mom, I don't need a lecture. You need something. You threw away a wonderful woman for a criminal. You abandoned your children before they were even born. You destroyed your company and your reputation. When are you going to take responsibility for your choices? I made mistakes. Mistakes? Derek, mistakes are accidental. What you did was intentional cruelty. Naomi was good to you. She supported your career, made your house a home, loved you despite your flaws. And you treated her like garbage. After his mother hung up, Derek sat in the dark of his condo and finally, truly faced what he'd done. Not the legal consequences or the financial losses, but the human cost. He'd destroyed a woman who'd trusted him. He'd abandoned children who'd never asked to be born. He'd ruined lives because he'd wanted excitement and validation. And the worst part? Naomi had won. Not by destroying him, though she could have done far worse if she'd wanted revenge. She'd won by walking away and building a better life without him. She'd proved that everything he'd told her was a lie. She wasn't stupid. She wasn't worthless. She wasn't nothing without him. She was brilliant, strong, and capable. And she'd always been those things. Derek had just been too insecure to admit it, because acknowledging her strength would have meant acknowledging his own weaknesses. He grabbed his phone and called the private investigators one last time. Stop searching for Naomi Bennett. Close the case. You sure, Mr. Bennett? We were just getting some promising leads in the Pacific Northwest. I'm sure. She doesn't want to be found. And I need to respect that. It was the first unselfish thing Derek had done in years. And it changed nothing about his situation, but somehow it made him feel slightly less like a monster. Derek Bennett spent the next 6 months in therapy, trying to understand how he'd become the kind of man who'd throw away everything good in his life. The therapist made him face uncomfortable truths about his narcissism, his need for control, his inability to value people who didn't serve his ego. But understanding didn't fix anything. His daughters were growing up without him. His ex-wife was thriving without him. His empire was gone. And Derek was left with nothing but regrets and the knowledge that he'd done this to himself. 9 months after disappearing from her old life, Naomi Richardson stood at the podium of Seattle's downtown convention center, looking out at 300 business professionals who'd come to hear her speak. Her presentation on supply chain optimization had just earned a standing ovation. "Thank you all so much," she said into the microphone, genuinely touched. "If you have questions about implementing these strategies in your own organizations, my team and I are available for consultations. You can find all our contact information in the materials." After the presentation, she was surrounded by potential clients. She handed out business cards, scheduled preliminary meetings, and felt the thrill of knowing her expertise was valued. A year ago, Derek had rolled his eyes when she offered business opinions. Now companies were paying her hundreds of thousands of dollars for those same insights. James was waiting in the hotel lobby, holding 9-month-old Grace while Hope slept in her stroller. "You were amazing," he said, kissing Naomi's cheek. "The crowd loved you." 3 new contract inquiries already, Naomi said, scooping up Grace and breathing in her baby smell. This could be huge for the business. They'd been officially dating for 4 months now, taking things slowly but surely. James had never pressured her for more than she was ready to give. They went to dinner when Mrs. Chen could babysit, spent quiet evenings at home with the twins, and built a relationship based on genuine respect and affection. The girls adored him. Grace reached for James constantly, and Hope had started calling him Jam, because she couldn't quite manage James. He'd cried the first time she said it, overwhelmed with joy at being part of their little family. "I have news," James said as they walked to the car. "I got the commission. The Riverside Development Project. It's a $20 million contract." Naomi threw her arms around him, carefully balancing Grace between them. "James, that's incredible. You've been working toward this for years. Couldn't have done it without your advice on the proposal. You're brilliant, you know that." They celebrated that night with takeout Chinese food and champagne. Well, sparkling cider for Naomi since she was still breastfeeding. The twins were already asleep, and they sat on the couch in comfortable silence, James's arm around Naomi's shoulders. "I got the divorce decree today," Naomi said quietly. "It's final. Officially over. How do you feel about that?" "Free. I thought I'd feel angry or sad or something. But mostly I just feel free. Like the last tie to that part of my life is finally cut." James squeezed her shoulder. "You've built an amazing life, Naomi. I'm so proud of you." "We've built it," she corrected. "I couldn't have done this without your support." "Yes, you could have. You're the strongest person I know. But I'm glad I get to be part of it anyway." The next week, Naomi's lawyer called with unexpected news. Derek stopped fighting. He's withdrawn his appeals, stopped looking for you, and has been making the child support payments on time without complaint. It's like he finally accepted reality. "Good," Naomi said. "That's all I wanted, for him to leave us alone." Her business continued to grow. By the end of month 9, Richardson Consulting Group had 12 employees and over $5 million in annual revenue. Naomi had proven herself in a competitive industry, building a reputation for excellence that had nothing to do with being Derek Bennett's ex-wife and everything to do with her own abilities. She'd also started writing a book. It began as a personal journal about financial independence for women, but her editor, yes, she had an editor now and a book deal, believed it could help thousands of women in similar situations. "Your story is powerful," the editor said. "Women need to know they can leave bad situations and rebuild." The working title was Starting Over, A Guide to Financial Independence After Divorce. Naomi worked on it during the twins' nap times, pouring her experiences and hard-won knowledge into every chapter. Not a revenge story, but a practical guide. How to build credit in your own name. How to hide money legally before leaving. How to start a business with limited capital. How to co-parent with a toxic ex or raise children alone if necessary. James read the draft chapters and was moved. "This is going to help so many people, Naomi. You're turning your pain into something meaningful." At 10 months post-divorce, Naomi received an invitation to speak at a women's leadership conference in San Francisco. The keynote speech, prime time slot with a speaking fee of $50,000. She accepted immediately. The night before the conference, James took Naomi to dinner at Seattle's best restaurant. She wore a blue dress that made her feel beautiful and powerful. James wore a suit and couldn't stop staring at her. "You're incredible," he said over dessert. "I want you to know that. Everything you've accomplished, everything you've overcome, you're the most incredible woman I've ever met." "James? Wait, let me finish." He reached across the table and took her hand. "I love you, Naomi. I love your strength, your intelligence, your kindness. I love how you are with the girls. I love who you are when you're scared and when you're confident and every moment in between. And I love Hope and Grace like they're my own daughters. I'm not asking you to decide anything right now. I just needed you to know how I feel." Naomi felt tears streaming down her face. "I love you too. I didn't think I could feel this way again, didn't think I wanted to. But you've shown me what real love looks like. Not control or manipulation or games. Just genuine care and respect and partnership. Is that a yes to being official? Because I'd really like to tell people you're my girlfriend instead of just my friend Naomi." She laughed through her tears. "Yes, definitely yes." That weekend at the San Francisco conference, Naomi delivered a speech about resilience and reinvention that earned her a standing ovation and 3 more speaking requests. She was building not just a business but a platform, becoming known as an expert in both her field and in helping women navigate difficult transitions. A journalist from Forbes approached her after the speech. "We're doing a feature on women entrepreneurs who've overcome adversity. Would you be interested in being interviewed?" Naomi thought about it. Going public with her story meant Derek would definitely know where she was and what she'd achieved. But maybe that was okay. Maybe it was time to stop hiding and start celebrating what she'd built. "Yes," she said. The Forbes article came out 2 weeks later, How One Woman Turned Betrayal into a Multi-Million-Dollar Business. It included photos of Naomi in her office, quotes about her journey, and a brief mention of her difficult divorce from tech executive Derek Bennett. The response was overwhelming. Her website crashed from traffic. Her email inbox filled with messages from women thanking her for inspiring them. 3 major corporations reached out about consulting contracts. A literary agent called about turning her book into a series. And somewhere, Naomi knew Derek was reading it. Learning that she hadn't just survived without him, she'd thrived. She'd built an empire of her own, raised 2 beautiful daughters, found love with a man who actually respected her, and created a life beyond anything she'd imagined possible. The best revenge was never destroying Derek. It was building a life so successful and fulfilling that his existence barely registered in her world anymore. He was her past. James, the girls, her business, her future, those were what mattered now. Naomi Richardson had disappeared from Derek Bennett's life without a word. She'd reappeared on her own terms, stronger than ever, and she'd done it all without his money, his name, or his permission. That was power. That was freedom. That was victory. Derek Bennett stared at the Forbes article for the 10th time that day. The headline mocked him, How One Woman Turned Betrayal into a Multi-Million-Dollar Business. There was Naomi, looking confident and successful in a professional photo, standing in an office that screamed success. The article detailed her consulting firm's growth, her speaking engagements, her upcoming book. It mentioned her difficult divorce from tech executive Derek Bennett in a single sentence, barely an afterthought in the story of her triumph. She'd done it. She'd not only survived without him, she'd built something extraordinary. And Derek was just a footnote in her success story, the mistake she'd overcome. His phone rang. His mother again. "I just read the Forbes article about Naomi. She looks wonderful, happy, successful. Everything you told her she could never be without you." "I know, Mom. Do you? Do you really understand what you lost?" Derek hung up without answering. He understood perfectly. He'd lost everything that mattered and kept only what didn't. Money that couldn't buy back respect, time he'd wasted on a criminal mistress, and regrets that multiplied daily. His therapist had asked him the same question during their last session. What did you actually lose when Naomi left? Derek had listed the obvious things. His wife, his children, control of the situation. But the therapist pushed deeper. You didn't lose Naomi when she walked out. You'd already lost her when you started the affair, when you made her feel worthless, when you called her stupid. You lost her respect long before she physically left. What you lost when she disappeared was the illusion that you could keep treating her badly without consequences. The words had haunted Derek for days, because they were true. He'd taken Naomi for granted, assumed she'd always be there no matter how poorly he treated her. Her leaving hadn't been the problem. His behavior had been the problem all along. 2 days after the Forbes article published, Derek's financial advisor called with bad news. The market downturn hit your portfolio hard. Combined with the child support payments and your living expenses, You're going to run through your remaining capital in about 5 years if you don't make changes. 5 years until he was broke. The billions were gone. The millions were dwindling. And Derek had no company to rebuild from, no professional reputation to leverage. He was 43 years old and washed up. He tried to get consulting work using his tech industry experience. Companies politely declined. The scandal had made him untouchable. Nobody wanted to be associated with the man who'd lost his empire because he couldn't keep his personal life under control. Claire was released from prison after serving 18 months of her 5-year sentence, thanks to good behavior and overcrowding. She immediately sold her story to a tabloid, My Affair with Tech Billionaire Derek Bennett and How It All Fell Apart. The article was devastating. Claire painted herself as a victim seduced by a powerful man, then abandoned when his wife left. She claimed Derek had promised her the world and delivered nothing. She revealed intimate details of their relationship, his complaints about Naomi, his obsession with finding her after she disappeared. He couldn't handle that she'd outsmarted him, Claire was quoted as saying. He spent months trying to find her, not because he loved her, but because he couldn't accept that she'd won. Derek read the article with growing horror. This was his legacy, a cautionary tale about arrogance, infidelity, and downfall. His name would forever be associated with failure and scandal. That night, Derek did something he hadn't done in over a year. He looked at old photos from his marriage to Naomi. Their wedding day where she'd looked at him with such love and trust. Vacation photos where she was laughing, genuinely happy. Pictures of them at company events, Naomi elegantly dressed and charming his business associates. In every photo she was radiant. And Derek realized he couldn't remember the last time he'd made her smile like that. Probably in the first year of marriage, before he started taking her for granted and chipping away at her confidence. He'd had everything, a brilliant, beautiful wife who loved him, a company he'd built from nothing, wealth beyond measure. And he'd destroyed it all chasing validation from a woman who'd only wanted his money. Derek's former business partner Robert called unexpectedly. I saw the Forbes article about Naomi. She's doing incredibly well. I know. Derek, I'm going to say something you're not going to want to hear. But you need to hear it. What? That woman was the best thing that ever happened to you. She managed your household, networked with clients, offered strategic insights that made the company millions. Half your success was because of her, and you never acknowledged it. You threw her away for Claire, who nearly destroyed everything. The board always respected Naomi. We thought you were lucky to have her. And we were right. After Robert hung up, Derek poured himself a drink and stood at his condo window, looking out at the Seattle skyline. Somewhere in this city, Naomi was living her best life. She was raising their daughters he'd never even met. She was building a business empire. She was loved by a man who treated her the way Derek never had. The divorce decree had included photos of the twins. Hope and Grace, 9 months old in the pictures, beautiful baby girls with Naomi's smile. Derek kept those photos in his wallet, looking at them sometimes and wondering what they were like. Did Hope have Naomi's laugh? Did Grace have his stubbornness? He'd never know. His lawyer called a few days later. Derek, I need to inform you of something. Naomi Richardson is engaged. The words hit Derek like a physical blow. To who? A man named James Crawford. He's an architect, well respected in his field. Apparently, he's been involved in the twins' lives since birth. The engagement announcement appeared in the Seattle Times. Derek found the announcement online. A photo of Naomi and a tall, kind-looking man, both smiling genuinely. Hope and Grace were in the picture too, the man holding one baby while Naomi held the other. They looked like a family. A real happy family. He's been there since birth? Derek asked, his voice hollow. According to the announcement, yes. He was her birth partner and has been helping raise the girls. They're planning a wedding for next summer. Derek felt something inside him finally break. Not his heart. He didn't deserve that kind of emotional luxury. But his ego, his pride, his last remaining delusion that maybe someday Naomi would realize she still needed him. She didn't need him. She'd never needed him. She had everything: success, love, family, happiness. And she'd found it all without Derek, despite Derek, in defiance of everything he'd told her she couldn't achieve. That night, Derek wrote a letter he knew he'd never send. Naomi, I saw the Forbes article. I saw your engagement announcement. I see that you're happy, successful, and thriving. I see that our daughters have a father figure who's actually present in their lives. I wish I could say I'm happy for you, but mostly I just feel empty. You were right to leave. You were right about everything. I treated you horribly, made you feel worthless, and threw away the best thing in my life for someone who didn't even care about me. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I finally understand. You didn't need me. I needed you. And I was too arrogant and insecure to admit it. I hope Hope and Grace grow up knowing how incredible their mother is. I hope they never let anyone make them feel small the way I made you feel. I hope they have the strength and courage you've shown. And I hope you're happy. You deserve every good thing that comes your way. I'm sorry. For everything. Derek. He folded the letter and put it in a drawer, knowing he'd never send it. Naomi didn't need his apology or his regret. She'd moved on completely, and contacting her would only be selfish, making himself feel better at the risk of disrupting her peace. Derek Bennett had finally learned the lesson he should have learned years ago. Actions have consequences. He'd spent his marriage being selfish, cruel, and controlling. Now he'd spend the rest of his life knowing exactly what that cost him. Meanwhile, somewhere in Seattle, Naomi Richardson was planning her wedding, growing her business, and raising her daughters with a man who actually deserved her. She'd won not by destroying Derek, but by building a life so good that he'd become irrelevant. That was the real reckoning. Not punishment or revenge, but complete and total irrelevance in the life of the woman he destroyed. Derek Bennett had become exactly what he'd always feared: nothing and nobody to the people who mattered. 1 year to the day after walking out of Derek's mansion, Naomi Richardson stood at the entrance of Seattle's downtown Sheraton, smoothing her navy suit and checking her notes one last time. She was the keynote speaker at the Pacific Northwest Tech Conference, addressing an audience of over 1,000 industry professionals. A year ago, she'd been 6 months pregnant, heartbroken, and terrified. Now she was engaged, a successful business owner, and a confident mother. The transformation felt surreal. "You ready?" James asked, appearing beside her with Hope and Grace in their double stroller. He'd taken the day off to support her, bringing the girls so they could be there for this milestone. "More than ready," Naomi said, leaning down to kiss both babies. They were a year old now, walking and starting to talk, their personalities emerging daily. Hope was bold and adventurous, already climbing everything. Grace was thoughtful and cautious, studying things carefully before acting. The conference organizer found Naomi backstage. "Ms. Richardson, you're on in 5 minutes. There's quite a buzz about your speech. We've never had this kind of attendance for a keynote." Naomi walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. The crowd included tech executives, entrepreneurs, consultants, and business students. She saw respect in their faces, genuine interest in what she had to say. Her speech was titled, "From Survival to Success: Building Your Empire on Your Own Terms." She talked about resilience, strategic planning, and the importance of knowing on the universal lessons about recovering from betrayal and building something meaningful. "A year ago, I had nothing," she told the audience. "No job, no home, no support system. I was 6 months pregnant with twins and starting over in a city where I knew nobody. Today, my consulting firm generates over $8 million in annual revenue. I've written a book that's being published next spring. I'm engaged to an incredible man who respects and supports me. And I'm raising 2 beautiful daughters who will grow up knowing they can achieve anything. How did I do it? Not by seeking revenge on the people who hurt me. Not by dwelling on what I'd lost. But by focusing every ounce of energy on building something better. The best revenge is massive success. The best comeback is a life so fulfilling that the past becomes irrelevant." The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Afterward, Naomi was mobbed by people wanting to shake her hand, ask questions, and schedule consultations. She handed out business cards until her fingers cramped, scheduled more meetings than she could count, and felt the validation of knowing her expertise was valued. During a break, her phone buzzed with an email from her literary agent. "Naomi, incredible news. Your book just got a 6-figure advance from a major publisher. They want to fast-track it for a spring release and are already talking about a book tour. This is huge." Naomi showed James the email, barely believing it was real. 6 figures. For my book. About leaving Derek and rebuilding my life. "You deserve it," James said, squeezing her hand. "Your story is going to help thousands of women." That evening, after the conference ended, they drove to their favorite Italian restaurant for dinner. Naomi had traded her modest apartment for a beautiful 3-bedroom house in a family-friendly neighborhood. James had helped her find it, and he stayed over most nights now, seamlessly integrated into their family. Over pasta and wine, Naomi could drink again now that she'd stopped breastfeeding. They talked about their future. The wedding was planned for June, a small ceremony with close friends and family. James was officially adopting Hope and Grace after the wedding, giving them his last name and all the legal protections of being his daughters. "I never thought I'd have this," Naomi said softly. "A partner who actually listens when I talk, who celebrates my success instead of feeling threatened by it, who loves my daughters like they're his own." "Our daughters," James corrected gently. "They might not be mine biologically, but they're mine in every way that matters. And you never have to thank me for treating you the way you deserve to be treated. That should be the baseline, not something extraordinary." Later that night, after putting the girls to bed, Naomi opened her laptop and found something unexpected. An email from Derek's lawyer, sent to her attorney and forwarded to her. "Ms. Richardson, Mr. Bennett wanted you to know that he's read about your success and is genuinely happy for you. He's not seeking to change the custody arrangement or contact you in any way. He simply wanted to express that he understands now why you left, acknowledges the harm he caused, and wishes you and the twins well. He's enclosed a check for $1 million to be put in trust for Hope and Grace's education. There are no strings attached and no expectation of contact or visitation rights. He simply wants to ensure his daughters have opportunities. He asks nothing in return except that you live your best life. Sincerely, lawyer's name." Naomi stared at the email for a long time. It wasn't an apology. Derek was too smart to think a check could make up for years of emotional abuse. It was acknowledgement, acceptance, maybe even respect. She showed James, who read it carefully. "What do you think?" "I think he finally realized what he lost," James said. "And I think this money should go to the girls. They didn't ask for any of this." "Agreed. I'll have my lawyer set up the trust fund. The girls can use it for college or whatever they need. But it doesn't change anything about custody or our lives." "Of course not." Derek made his choices. Now he gets to live with the consequences. A month later, Naomi was featured in another major publication, Entrepreneur Magazine's 30 Under 40 Rising Stars. The article detailed her business growth, her speaking career, and her upcoming book. It included a photo of her entire family, James, Hope, Grace, and Naomi, looking happy and whole. The magazine arrived the same week as another milestone. Richardson Consulting Group's first international contract, a $2 million deal with a London-based firm. Naomi was going global, her reputation spreading far beyond Seattle. She hired a chief operating officer to manage daily operations while she focused on high-level strategy and speaking engagements. Her team had grown to 20 employees, all of them talented professionals who believed in her vision. One evening, Naomi's sister Denise called with news. "I saw Derek today. He was at a coffee shop in San Francisco looking ordinary. Not billionaire Derek, just regular guy Derek. I don't think he recognized me." "How did he look?" "Honestly, kind of sad. Not in a way that makes me feel sorry for him, but just diminished, like the fight went out of him." After hanging up, Naomi reflected on how far they'd both come from that mansion she'd walked out of a year ago. Derek had lost almost everything. His company, his wealth, his reputation, his family. She'd lost a marriage that was killing her soul and gained everything that actually mattered. Sometimes the trash took itself out. Sometimes the best thing that could happen was losing what you thought you needed so you could find what you actually deserved. As Naomi tucked Hope and Grace into bed that night, singing them the lullaby her mother used to sing to her, she felt overwhelming gratitude. Not for Derek or the pain he'd caused, but for the strength she'd found in surviving it. For the courage to walk away. For the wisdom to build something better. Hope grabbed her finger, her dark eyes serious. "Mama." "Yes, baby? Love you." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too. Both of you. So much." Grace, not to be outdone, announced, "Love Jam." "James loves you too," Naomi said, laughing. "We all love each other. That's what family is." As she left their room, she found James waiting in the hallway, that soft smile she'd grown to love lighting up his face. "Ready for tomorrow?" he asked. Tomorrow they were touring wedding venues. In 6 months, she'd become Mrs. Naomi Crawford. Her daughters would have a father who chose them, who showed up every day, who loved them fiercely and without condition. Derek Bennett was their biological father, but James Crawford would be their dad. The man who changed diapers at 3 a.m. and built them a playhouse and read bedtime stories and showed up to every milestone. Biology mattered less than presence, less than love, less than actually being there. Naomi Richardson had vanished without a word from a life that was suffocating her. She'd reappeared on her own terms, stronger than anyone had believed possible, and built an empire from nothing but determination and self-belief. Full circle didn't mean going back. It meant standing in a completely different place and realizing you'd found yourself again. only better, wiser, and unbreakable. The June sun filtered through the windows of Naomi's house as she stood in her bedroom, looking at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was elegant but simple, cream-colored silk that draped beautifully, sleeveless with a flowing skirt. Her sister Denise was pinning flowers into her hair while Patricia helped adjust the dress. "You look absolutely beautiful," Patricia said, tears in her eyes. "I'm so happy for you, Naomi." "Thank you for being here through all of it," Naomi replied, squeezing her friend's hand. "I couldn't have done this without you." Downstairs, James was getting ready with his brother as his best man, while Hope and Grace toddled around in matching flower girl dresses, giggling at everything. They were 16 months old now, talking in short sentences and full of personality. The ceremony was being held in Naomi's backyard, transformed into a garden paradise with white chairs, flower arches, and soft music. 50 close friends and family members, the people who'd supported Naomi through the darkest times and celebrated the brightest ones. As Naomi walked down the makeshift aisle, she saw James waiting for her, his eyes bright with emotion. Hope and Grace walked ahead of her, scattering flower petals, and occasionally eating them, making everyone laugh. This was her family. The one she'd chosen and the one that had chosen her back. The ceremony was short and meaningful. They'd written their own vows and James went first. "Naomi, when I met you, you were starting over with nothing but courage and determination. I watched you build an incredible life for yourself and your daughters through sheer strength of will. You taught me that it's possible to heal after loss, to trust again after betrayal, to love again after pain. You and the girls brought light back into my life. I promise to honor your strength, support your dreams, cherish your daughters as my own, and love you exactly as you are, which is perfect. I choose you today and always." Naomi wiped tears from her eyes before speaking her own vows. "James, you showed me what real love looks like. Not control or manipulation or games, but genuine partnership. You respected me when I was broken, celebrated me when I succeeded, and loved me through every moment in between. You love Hope and Grace like they're yours, and that means everything to me. I promise to build our life together as equals, to trust you with my heart, to support your dreams as you've supported mine, and to love you with everything I am. You're the partner I always deserved but never knew existed. Thank you for finding me." When the officiant pronounced them married, James kissed her gently while everyone cheered. Hope shouted "Yay!" and Grace clapped her hands, and it was perfect. The reception was held under string lights in the backyard, with good food, great music, and genuine joy. Naomi's consulting team was there, along with several clients who'd become friends. Mrs. Chen was crying happy tears. Naomi's sister gave a touching speech about watching her rebuild from ashes. During their first dance, James held Naomi close and whispered, "I love you, Mrs. Crawford." "I love you too," she replied, still getting used to her new name. Naomi Crawford. A fresh start, a new identity, a complete transformation from the woman who'd walked out of a mansion a year and a half ago. Later, as the party wound down and Hope and Grace slept in their grandmother's arms, Naomi stood at the edge of the yard watching her wedding celebration. James came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "How different life is now. How much has changed. A year and a half ago, I was terrified and alone. Now I'm married to an incredible man, running a successful business and raising happy daughters. It feels like a dream. It's real. You made it real. You did the hard work of healing and rebuilding." "We did it together," she corrected. The following week, Naomi's book was published, Starting Over, A Guide to Financial Independence After Divorce. It debuted at number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list. The reviews were overwhelmingly positive, with readers praising its practical advice and emotional honesty. She was booked for a 12-city book tour, speaking to sold-out crowds of women seeking inspiration and guidance. At every event, women approached her with tears in their eyes, thanking her for giving them hope and showing them a path forward. "Your story saved my life," one woman told her in Portland. "I was in an abusive marriage, thinking I couldn't leave because I had no money and no skills. Your book showed me I was wrong. I left 3 months ago and I'm rebuilding. Thank you." Naomi hugged her, understanding exactly what that courage had cost. "You saved your own life. I'm so proud of you for taking that step." Richardson Consulting Group's revenue hit $15 million in year 2. Naomi was named one of Fortune's 40 under 40 business leaders. She was invited to speak at Harvard Business School about entrepreneurship after trauma. Her second book was already contracted, this time focusing on business strategy for new consultants. Meanwhile, Derek Bennett had faded into obscurity. He'd moved to a smaller city, taken a mid-level consulting job and lived quietly. His fortune was almost gone, spent on legal fees, settlements, and poor investments. He'd never remarried, never had more children, and reportedly spoke to no one about his past. Naomi heard these updates occasionally through business connections but felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no vindication. Just indifference. Derek was a chapter in her history that had no bearing on her present or future. One afternoon, 2 years after her wedding, Naomi was working in her home office when Hope, now 3.5, ran in with a drawing. "Mama, look what I made." The crayon drawing showed 4 stick figures holding hands. Mama, Daddy, James, Hope, and Grace. A house, a son, and what might have been a dog. They'd recently adopted a golden retriever named Biscuit. "It's beautiful, sweetheart." "Who are these people?" "Our family," Hope declared proudly. "Daddy says family is people who love each other." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "Daddy's exactly right." Grace appeared a moment later, holding her own drawing. "Mine too, Mama." Naomi hung both drawings on her office wall, right next to her framed Forbes cover and her book award. Those magazine covers represented professional success, but the crayon drawings represented something far more valuable: her daughters growing up happy, secure, and loved. That evening, James came home from work to find Naomi cooking dinner while the girls helped by mostly making a mess. He kissed her hello and asked about her day. "I had 3 new contract proposals come in, finalized the outline for book 2, and got invited to speak at the World Business Forum next year. Oh, and Hope learned to write her full name today." "Just another regular day for a powerhouse entrepreneur?" James teased. "I'm so proud of you. How was your day?" "Riverside Development broke ground today. 2 years of planning and we're finally building. I couldn't have done it without your strategic advice on the business side." They were partners in every sense, supporting each other's careers, raising their daughters together, building a life based on mutual respect and genuine love. Naomi had never imagined marriage could be this easy, this comfortable, this real. After dinner, they sat on the porch while the girls played in the yard with Biscuit. The Seattle sunset painted everything gold, and Naomi felt complete peace. "Do you ever think about him?" James asked quietly. "Derek. Hardly ever. And when I do, I don't feel anything. He's just someone I used to know, part of a life I used to live. This is my real life. You, the girls, my work, our future. Everything that matters is right here." "Good. Because you deserve to be happy. You deserve all of this and more." 3 years after walking away from Derek Bennett, Naomi Richardson Crawford had built an empire. Not just a business empire, though her consulting firm was valued at over $20 million, but an empire of genuine happiness, meaningful relationships, and self-respect. She'd proven that the best revenge wasn't destruction but construction. Building a life so good that the people who hurt you became irrelevant. Succeeding so spectacularly that their opinions didn't matter. Finding love so genuine that their betrayal seemed like the best thing that could have happened. Derek had called her stupid, worthless, nothing without him. Naomi had proved him wrong in every possible way. She was brilliant, valuable, and everything she'd become was despite him, not because of him. Her daughters would grow up watching their mother run a successful business, write best-selling books, speak on international stages, and maintain a healthy, loving marriage. They'd learn that women could be powerful and kind, successful and nurturing, strong and gentle all at once. And they'd never know their biological father, because the court-sealed custody agreement meant Derek had no visitation rights until they turned 12. By then, James would have been their father for over a decade. Derek would be a stranger, a name on a birth certificate, nothing more. Sometimes Naomi wondered if Derek ever thought about what he'd lost. The beautiful daughters he'd never met. The brilliant woman he'd thrown away. The family he could have had if he'd just treated people with basic decency. But mostly she didn't wonder about Derek at all. She was too busy living the life she deserved, full of love, success, and genuine joy. As the sun set on another perfect day, Naomi watched her daughters play, felt her husband's arm around her shoulders, and knew with absolute certainty, she'd won. Not by destroying Derek or making him suffer, but by walking away and building something he could never touch, never tarnish, never take away. This was victory. This was freedom. This was the life Naomi Bennett, now Naomi Crawford, had always deserved.